The film begins with a man named Lasmana, who one day summons a priestess to his home. The priestess accompanies Lasmana to the basement of the house and begins to perform black magic. For this ritual, she places a severed goat's head in front of her. All this was being done at Lasmana's request because he wanted to become rich. The priestess tells him, "Bring me what I asked for." Lasmana then takes a woman's hair and some money from his bag and gives it to her. She wraps the hair in paper and eats it herself, then pulls out her own hair and feeds it to Lasmana. She then burns the money in front of Lasmana and makes a cut on his hand with a knife. Although this was part of the magic ritual, Lasmana, in pain, starts cursing the priestess and turns his face away. Behind him, the priestess begins to levitate in the air. When Lasmana turns and sees her in this state, he is stunned. He now believes in the priestess's magical powers. He kneels before her, saying, "From today, I am your slave." No sooner had he said this than it began to rain money in the room. Lasmana's briefcase also starts filling with cash. Seeing this, his joy knows no bounds. Not only that, but the goat whose head was used in the ritual comes back to life and stands there, whole again. The priestess then tells him, "The devil has accepted your sacrifice. Now go home, where wealth and fame await you." As soon as Lasmana leaves the basement, the door slams shut behind him. And indeed, Lasmana achieves such success that he becomes rich overnight. However, his wife dies. Everyone thinks she took her own life, but the truth was that Lasmana had used his wife's hair to make the sacrifice. As a result, his wife died, but he became wealthy. Lasmana also had 2 daughters. The elder one was named Alfie. After his wife's death, Lasmana marries an actress who already has 3 children, 2 daughters and a son. Her eldest daughter's name is Maya. But then, over time, something unexpected happens, and Lasmana starts incurring losses in his business. His situation becomes so dire that he has to sell everything. The only thing left is the house we saw at the beginning of the movie, which was in Alfie's name. The story now shifts to the present day. Lasmana's eldest daughter, Alfie, receives a call summoning her to the hospital. Alfie had been distraught over her mother's death and her father's second marriage, and had been living alone for the past 10 years. When she arrives at the hospital, she learns that Lasmana's health is critical, and he's been admitted. At the hospital, she meets her stepmother and step-siblings. The nurse informs them that Lasmana has a skin disease and that his internal organs are also deteriorating. A foul smell was emanating from Lasmana's skin, so everyone else steps out, leaving only Alfie with him. As she was sitting there, the lights suddenly went out. Just then, Lasmana grabs her hand. We also see a terrifying hand belonging to a scary woman who was emerging from behind a curtain. She starts moving towards Alfie but suddenly vanishes. Now, when Alfie realizes her dad has been holding her hand for a while, she looks towards the bed and sees that it's the scary woman holding her hand. In reality, the woman attacks Alfie, who gets very scared. But suddenly, the lights come back on, and everything returns to normal. Suddenly, Lasmana gets up from the bed and grabs Alfie. He had lost control. Hearing the noise, everyone else rushes in. Lasmana falls onto his other daughter, Maya's sister, and the blood coming from his mouth spills all over her. Alfie is terrified by this whole incident. A little later, Alfie's stepmom comes to her and says, "We need to go to that house that's in your name, because we want to sell the property." Here, we learn that Alfie often sees her mother dying in her dreams, meaning she hasn't been able to get over the trauma of her death. The next day, Alfie goes to that very house, which was in a forest, far from the city. The house had become quite old. Anyway, Alfie goes inside, and when she sees the basement door, she finds it's not only locked, but also securely nailed shut to prevent it from being opened. There were also some papers pasted on it with what looked like mantras and drawings. A little later, Alfie's stepmother arrives with her children. She had also brought Alfie's younger sister with her. They decide to look for the house papers and some essential items, and then leave the next day. Alfie goes to her room where her stepbrother brings her food, as he was the one who considered Alfie his sister and looked after her. When he went outside, his sister Maya handed him a toolbox and said, "Here, open the basement. Who knows, there might be something important there." Meanwhile, when Alfie went into a room, she found very strange things, the kind typically used in black magic. She also finds a picture of herself, leaving her stunned and wondering how it got there. Now, Maya removes all the papers from the basement door, and her brother removes the nails and breaks the lock. And as soon as he opened the door, a gust of wind swept out, brushing past everyone. That same gust of wind then reached Lasmana in the hospital, and blood started pouring from his mouth. A clump of hair, which was very long, began to emerge from his mouth. It grew so long that it wrapped around his neck and face. The hair strangles Lasmana, and he dies. Maya's mom also came to the basement door. When she peered inside, she couldn't see anything. She then tells her son to go in. But just then, Alfie arrives and forbids her stepbrother from entering the basement. She says that something is wrong with this house because she found things related to witchcraft in one of the rooms. But her stepmother doesn't believe a word she says. Suddenly, Alfie's sister sees someone in the basement. She gets scared and tries to tell her mother, but she gets scolded. The next moment, their mom feels something on her feet. When she looked down, she saw 2 hands grabbing her legs. The next moment, it starts dragging her into the basement. Maya and her brother grab their mother, trying to pull her out. But whatever was in the basement pulls their mother inside, and now, scary sounds begin to come from the darkness. All the children were terrified. Maya calls out to her mother, who suddenly leaps out. She attacks Maya and grabs her. Her mother was in a terrible state, possessed by an evil force and completely under its control. She bites Maya's arm. To save her, Alfie hits her on the head with a hammer, and she falls unconscious. A little later, Maya's mom regains consciousness and pulls the hammer from her head, but she was still possessed. She strangely climbs over the door, perches on the wall, and says in a scary voice, "The price of prosperity must be paid with a life." After which, she breaks a window pane and runs off into the forest. Maya's brother closes the basement door and places heavy furniture in front of it. Meanwhile, Alfie is bandaging Maya's arm. Alfie's sister was holding a strange black doll. She tells Alfie, "I found this in a room." Alfie then takes it from her. Maya's brother calls her outside to the car and shows her that the tires have been slashed. It was none other than their mother who had done it in her possessed state. This meant they couldn't leave. They were completely trapped. Alfie hands her stepbrother the phone and says, "Call the police or someone who can help us." After that, she leaves her brother with her little sister and sets off with Maya to a nearby village to find some help for her, as Maya's condition was worsening. It was raining, and as they were walking through the forest, they found their mother, who was now sitting in one place, acting strangely. Seeing her, they both got scared and immediately hid. Alfie tells Maya to stay put. She then takes the hammer from her bag and goes to find her mother. Behind her, Maya takes Alfie's diary from her bag and starts reading it. In it, Alfie had defaced photos of her stepmother and step-siblings and written terrible things about them. Maya feels terrible seeing this. So when Alfie returned a little later, Maya angrily told her, "Stay away from me, understand? I was a fool to think of you as a friend just a while ago while you were doing this behind our backs, expressing so much hatred for us. I've seen everything in your diary." Although Alfie apologizes and tries to explain, Maya wasn't ready to listen, so she walks away alone. Alfie follows her and tries to stop her, but Maya has already run off and is nowhere to be found. Alfie feels terrible about this. Back at the house, Maya's brother calls his other sister, who couldn't come with them for some reason. He explains the whole situation and asks her to come and help. A little later, Alfie also returns home and tells her brother everything. Her brother is also upset. He says, "You hate us all so much that you left Maya all alone." Alfie says she'll go look for her first thing in the morning. She then takes her brother to the same room where she saw the black magic items. There, they find a diary containing paintings of a scary woman. Alfie says, "I saw this woman at the hospital. She grabbed my hand and scared me." Seeing some other symbols drawn there, she says these are the same symbols that were on the papers on the basement door. Maybe these symbols were put there to keep something scary inside the basement from getting out. Reading the book, they learn that all the scary women they've seen are actually dark priestesses, evil practitioners of black magic who hold dark powers because they worship the devil as their god, and the powers they possess are also granted to them by the devil. As they look at more things, they realize that their father, Lasmana, was behind all of this so that he could become wealthy. In the forest, as Maya was walking ahead, she finds her mother in a terrible condition. Her tongue was hanging out, and she suddenly attacks Maya. In self-defense, Maya kills her. While Alfie's sister was sleeping, she hears her mother's voice coming from the closet behind her. When she went to check the closet, there was no one there. She comes back and lies down on the bed. But just then, we see that same scary woman, the priestess, behind her. Suddenly, the girl's bed starts shaking and bouncing violently, and a scary voice tells her, "You are my daughter." But the girl replies, "No, no, you can't be my mother." Suddenly, everything goes back to normal. When the girl checks underneath, she finds no one there. But as soon as she gets up, that terrifying priestess appears on her bed. Seeing her, the girl screams. Hearing the sound, Alfie and her brother rush in. The priestess attacks them too. She was dragging their little sister away, but the two of them manage to save her with great difficulty. Now, the priestess lets her go and grabs Alfie instead. But as soon as her brother moved the bed, the priestess fled. Just then, Alfie fainted, and memories of the time her mother died come flooding back. She was with her then. At that moment, Alfie's mother was putting her to sleep, but suddenly an evil force pushed her off the building. Seeing this, Alfie immediately grabbed her mother, trying to save her. But then, the witch-like priestess appears, makes her fall, and kills her. In the process, the priestess grabs Alfie's hand tightly, leaving her nail marks on Alfie's arm, the marks that are still there today. In the morning, their other sister also arrived, but her car broke down in the middle of the forest. Just then, Maya appeared, who was also in a strange state. She tells her sister, "Come with me, I'll take you home." But her sister sees in the mirror that Maya is hiding a hammer behind her back. Finding this strange, she asks Maya, "Why are you holding that hammer?" Hearing this, Maya gets furious, breaks the car door with the hammer, gets inside, and brutally attacks her sister, killing her. From this, we understand that Maya is not in her right mind either. She, too, has been possessed. She then returns to the house and sees Alfie's poor condition. She, too, keeps hearing the priestess's terrifying voice calling her, and we also see the devil right beside her. Then, Maya sees the shadow of that terrifying priestess in the basement, so she goes down. In the basement, Maya finds a necklace made of 5 dolls, representing her family members. Once again, the priestess starts calling to her. Maya asks, "Who are you?" She replies, "I am your mother. Your siblings have chosen me, so now you too must become my slave, my child." Hearing this, Maya lowers her head, and we see the terrifying priestess sitting behind her. In the morning, Alfie wakes up. When she comes downstairs, she sees her mom playing the piano, so she goes and sits beside her. But it isn't her mom, it's the priestess, who grabs Alfie's hand and injures her. Alfie starts to scream, because the priestess starts tearing her own face apart right in front of her. But the next moment, Maya arrives and comforts Alfie, and we see that Maya is perfectly fine. Anyway, they were all sitting together, and the condition of Alfie's hand was getting worse. Alfie tells her brother, "Look, this is what's happening to my hand, and to my little sisters too. Ever since she held that black doll, her hand is also starting to look strange." Then Alfie tells her brother, "Remember what your mom used to say, that the price of prosperity must always be paid with a life? The priestess we keep seeing, she killed my mother when Dad sacrificed her for money. And now, she's inside your mother too. Come on, we have to run from here right now." But suddenly, Maya strangely says, "She will never let you leave this place." Maya's brother gets angry hearing this. He grabs Maya and asks, Who won't let us leave?" Maya doesn't answer, but instead starts laughing hysterically. As this happens, music starts playing on its own. Things begin to fly around, and all the doors leading out of the house slam shut. But Maya repeats the same thing. "She will not let you leave from here." Just then, that same scary priestess appears outside the window. Maya's brother goes to look for her, as Maya has disappeared. He goes upstairs to a room and sees Maya banging her head against the door and crying. Her brother says, "What are you doing? Come on, we have to get out of here." And as she turns, we see that it's not Maya, but the priestess. Seeing her, he runs away in fear. But wherever he went, the terrifying priestess would appear in front of him. With great difficulty, he manages to get into a room and lock the door, only to find Maya sitting behind him. She tells her brother, "The one who is here, he wants to have Alfie and her sister. He wants to sacrifice them." At this time, Maya was holding her brother's doll, which she had taken from the necklace. She says, "He killed our mother and our other sister in that forest, and now he's waiting for us behind the door." Maya says this is the right time to sacrifice Alfie and her sister to the devil, so the devil gets their lives, and the curse on Lasmana can be broken. Because Alfie and her sister were the children of Lasmana's first wife, their mother died, and after Alfie and her sister are sacrificed, everything will be all right. And we will become slaves of the devil, which will make us very powerful. But her brother didn't want to sacrifice Alfie and her sister or become a slave to the devil. He flatly refuses, which angers her. Maya, still holding her brother's doll, breaks its arm. As the doll's arm breaks, so does her brother's. But he tries to run for his life. Then Maya breaks the doll's leg, causing her brother's leg to break as well, and he tumbles down the stairs. Alfie and her sister were right in front of him. Now, in front of them both, Maya rips the doll's head off. As she does, her brother's head is also severed from his body, and he dies a horrific death. Seeing this, both sisters are terrified. Now Maya picks up Alfie's sister's doll. As she does, some force drags the sister into the basement. Then, Maya picks up Alfie's doll and places it on the ground. As this happens, Alfie is flipped upside down. And now, as Maya starts bouncing the doll up and down, Alfie begins to bounce as well, until she passes out. A little later, when Alfie regains consciousness, she finds herself in the basement, where she is shown a vision of the past. It showed that after Alfie's mother died, when the priestess was performing a ritual, Lasmana had come back. The priestess asks him, "Did you bring what I asked for?" Lasmana replies, "No, I can't. Because she is my daughter, and I don't want anything to happen to Alfie." Actually, the priestess had asked for Alfie's hair because she intended to use it for a spell on Alfie after her mother's death, sacrificing her to the devil. The priestess says, "You can't do this. You have to fulfill your promise to the devil." Lasmana then gives her the hair, but the priestess, in anger, throws it into the fire, knowing he had brought someone else's hair. The priestess yells at him, "You have deceived me!" Lasmana then picks up a nearby knife and stabs the priestess, killing her. Before dying, the priestess pulls out Lasmana's hair, wraps it in paper, and eats it, cursing him, "Soon you will lose everything." But Lasmana ignored her words and buried the priestess's body right there in the basement. After seeing all this, when Alfie turned around, she saw her sister lying unconscious. Maya was next to her, holding Alfie's doll. She starts sticking needles into the doll, causing Alfie to feel pain. Then she starts strangling the doll, and Alfie begins to suffocate. But she notices her own doll hanging around Maya's neck. Seeing this, Alfie gets an idea. She starts laughing out loud. This angers Maya. She goes to Alfie and says, "What's so funny?" She then moves away and starts breaking the leg of Alfie's doll. But right then, Alfie also starts taunting Maya by showing her doll, which she had stolen when Maya got close to her. Seeing this, Maya gets scared. Just then, Alfie throws her doll into the fire, and Maya is also killed by burning in the flames. Now Alfie digs up the priestess's buried body, cuts open her stomach, and takes out Lasmana's hair from inside, throwing it into the fire to end the curse. As this happens, Alfie is completely healed, but from behind, the priestess emerges and pulls her into the grave, which was like a pit, causing Alfie to faint. When she comes to, she is lying next to the priestess's corpse, her whole body entangled in hair. Alfie manages to free herself by cutting the hair with a knife but can't get out of the pit. But just then, a hand reaches in to help her. Alfie grabs the hand and climbs out. It was none other than her sister's hand. The curse was now completely broken. Therefore, Alfie and her sister were no longer in any danger. They were both safe and sound and leave the house, returning home. And with that, the film comes to an end.